All right, Kevin, welcome to the show. So glad we got you in here.
Oh my God, I am so excited to be here, actually. And it was actually, thank you very much for having me on. And it's one of those things that I have to tell you the secret here. This is actually, my very first podcast I've ever been on. Yes.
No. What are you talking about?
So I do my own podcast, yes.
Yeah.
But this is actually my first podcast. So I've never done a Zoom podcast ever before.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I've never done a live podcast. Well, I do live podcasts, but actually to be on the podcast.
To be the guest.
Yeah. So what a great experience.
You're on guest camera #1 right there.
There I am. Hello, guest camera 1. And you know what? It looks absolutely... Geez, I do look good on TV. There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, glad we could have you. I'm glad you came to down to the show and down to the studio. So, and I guess we've met each other. You may not know that you met me, but we met at that one show that I was at, and you were there about a year ago, possibly, or something like that, at the Deerfoot Inn and Casino. And it was just in passing. You were busy. I was busy doing stuff, and so it was kind of cool.
And you know what? I do remember that because you were competing in the Masters competition, the WNBF.
That's right.
Leo King.
Yeah.
And Leo, outstanding guy. He's one of my trainers. Is he? Yeah. He's one of your trainers.
Yeah, he coached me through into that show. Yeah.
And you won it.
Yep.
How does that make you feel?
It was good. Yeah, it was great. It was a good culmination. I think I could have done better. So it was, every show you realize what you can do better, and I realized there were things I could have done different and better. So it was good.
And you know what? It's interesting when you look at yourself, and you always think you could have done better. Do you analyze yourself with somebody else, or do you analyze yourself in the mirror? So when you look in the mirror, from my experience, when I look in the mirror, I go, oh man, I'm overweight, because I go back. When I took this journey and going into the fitness industry, and I saw you on stage there, and I'm looking, there's another Grand Masters. And by the way, Grand Masters, I believe it's 55 plus, right?
50 plus.
50 plus? Well, I'm 55, so I get to brag about my age at 55.
We're going to be extra Grandmaster soon. They just haven't opened up the category yet.
No doubt. And you know what's amazing? Mm-hmm. Is that you look at yourself at 55 years old, and you look great, right?
Thanks.
And we look at ourselves and where our mindset is, where our body is, where as entrepreneurs, where we're at, and how important it is to be where we're at today, healthy. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh. And I look at this journey, and when I saw you, because I was at this year, when I saw you there, you were actually competing, and I wasn't competing against you. Are you going to compete next year, this November?
Yeah.
You are?
Yep.
Oh, okay, it'll be, because I'm competing this November as well, so this is going to be fun. So, as you can tell, see
We're
the
on our way.
The eyeballs there.
Yeah.
I got the eyeball tattoo. Yeah. So, I have to tell you a little bit about the journey into the fitness aspect.
And we don't want to miss out. I do want to mention something, too, afterwards about this idea of comparison. So, I'm just going to make a note.
Oh, the comparison, yeah. Actually, I can't even get into that comparison because...
But go on with your journey.
Oh, the journey. Well, actually, the journey will actually start about comparison. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because it's really interesting. You don't know you're in shape until you're out of shape, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my journey as in the fitness industry.
Did you have a moment where you realized that you weren't in shape? I did.
Yes and no. I was on the Dragon's Den.
Okay.
So I was on the Dragon's Den, and I was doing a pitch for Core.Fit, Canadian Obstacle Race Fitness, back in the day, and I owned it. And it's sold now. Mm-hmm. Great guy owns it, Sean Sweeney. And he's doing a great job now. But what was interesting is back then, I go on the Dragon's Den, and I'm pitching this obstacle course racing, because we manufactured obstacle course racing fitness and stuff. And I figured I'm in great shape. So I go on there, and we won the bet. Obviously, I got a deal. We fast forwarded today. We actually still have the best pitch of all time on the Dragon's Den in fitness. Yeah, as of last year. This was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. All-time best pitch.
Wow.
Still to this day.
That's pretty sweet.
It was awesome.
Wow.
And it was.
Was it a deal you did with Brett?
No, Brett wasn't on the
wasn't
on that time,
okay.
but he'd give me some advice and said to do this. So the person that I actually got the deal with was Michelle.
Oh, okay.
And but you got to understand, when you're on the Dragon's Den, it's about TV. Okay.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, it's a show. It's entertainment.
Yeah, it's entertainment. It's a show, and you got to remember when you're on it. Remember, they're trying to sell for their advertisers and do this. So remember, here we are, and I'm doing this. Well, Sean's doing the salmon ladder to go up like this on the salmon ladder. I'm on the side, so I'm weighing at my weight. So right now I'm at about I'm 185 right now.
Making notes.
Okay.
185.
185.4 to be exact.
Okay, gotcha.
So back then I was 220. Okay?
Oh wow!
And I thought I was in shape. So here I am. I'm going on the Dragon's Den. I'm pitching fitness, health and fitness, okay? And I'm going, oh yeah, here I'm in shape, and I've done these Spartan races, Tough Mudders, and done them, and I'm here I am. Again, here I am, and I'm on TV, and TV makes you look about 10 pounds heavier, so I was even looking bigger, but that's okay. So if you ever look up the CBC Dragon's Den, you'll actually see the big difference between the two. And that wasn't a changing point, because I hadn't ever been from 220 all the way down to where I am now. So as you start cutting later on in that one defining moment and I thought I was in shape and I'm doing this, and then there was comments, because you'd get comments from people on air going, on social media, look at that fat bastard on there. How can he be doing a gym, being a guy on stage, or he's doing this? How can he do that? And I would read these comments and I would go, you know what? I'm amazing. You know why I'm amazing? Because it wasn't that the comments were that they were bad. It was the fact that I was actually there and they weren't. So that was the jealousy part, right?
100%.
So they're looking at it and I'm going, well, they just don't know what being in shape is. Sure, I can I can run a marathon in 9 hours. Or an obstacle, like whatever that storytelling was back in the day.
Yeah.
And understanding, like, how do I go to the next level? I thought I was already there. And one of the defining moments, and this is where we get, so I'm in Dragon's Den, I did it, and everything was great. We got a deal. Didn't need the money back then, but it was a great experience and going through it. But the defining moment is I had a gentleman. He calls me up. His name's Chad McCormick, and he says to me, Kevin, I want you to watch this thing I'm doing right now. My wife's doing a bodybuilding competition in Las Vegas, and she's competing. And I'm going, and it was like Facebook Live. I think she was competing, I don't know if it was the WNBF or one of the other federations. But, and her name's Karen. And I saw her competing on there. It was on a Facebook Live, and I looked, and it was like, oh my gosh, does she look amazing? And I used to remember from years ago drinking. She wasn't an alcohol. I'm not saying she had social drinks, obviously. And we knew her that way. And all of a sudden, when you go into bodybuilding and you're going into that clean lifestyle, clean, everything's there. It's a total mindset. Right. But I saw her and I said, wow. And now at that point, I'm probably 230, okay? 220, 230, heavy. And I have...
And you're only 5'4", so that's quite a lot.
Yeah, that is quite a lot. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and what's even better, so I have sleep apnea. I had, okay? So say 220. I had sleep apnea, gout. So I was taking full-time pills, gout pills and everything like that. So when I don't know, have you ever had gout?
No.
Okay, it is.
Lucky.
It is, it's one of the most excruciating pains. If you just blow on your toe, and it's painful. And people don't realize it's how it comes is obviously from, they call it the king's disease, right? So absolutely. Too much red meat, and then alcohol and drinking and different lifestyle. So Chad had said to me, he says, okay, watch this. And I saw Karen and I went, oh my gosh, wait a second. I can do that. Yeah. So here I am, and I'm thinking, I'm overweight. I said, listen, it's not that I need a lifestyle change. What's a motivator? What's going to motivate me to do this to this? And if she could do it, why can't I do it? And basically it came in, and I phoned her up. I said, hey, Karen, could you train me? And I'm going to do whatever. She says, no, thank you very much. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give you to the best person that's the best trainer, and he's awesome. And I said, okay, who is it? Leo King. Right. And because Leo was training her at King's Fitness. And then, That was on this Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
I said, all right, no problem. So she gave me his phone number. So I phone him up on a Saturday. I think it was the Sunday. I phoned Leo. I said, hi, Leo. My name is Kevin Halliday. I want you to train me. And I want to compete in a national bodybuilding competition. And Leo's going, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure, come see me. So I go to see Leo, and I said, okay, here I am. I'm ready. And he's looking at me, and I'm 200 pounds. I'm a big guy back then, and overweight. And I said, no, my goal is I want to do this. And he says, well, okay, let's start. How's your diet? What diet? Well, diet, and somebody else had told me there's a diet that has dye in it. So dye, you die in the end. Somebody told, Nadine had told me that one. Yep. So it was interesting. And he says, okay, well, let's start. He says, if you're serious, I'll train you. I said, I'm serious. I'll do every single day.
Right.
I'll be obsessed with it. Like
whatever you say, I'm in.
I'm in.
You say eat cardboard? I'm going to eat cardboard.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Total cardboard. and it almost was like, it almost is like cardboard. Yeah. And what was interesting about it is that, meanwhile, when we have a habit, okay, and I'm going to talk about habits, is that one of the thing about it is I used to drink a lot. And the biggest thing was that I would go to work and with my business, and business is very successful.
And start drinking immediately.
No.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, no.
It's not like the 50s. Okay.
Oh, no, not like that. And I would make sure I never drank during the day. Never would drink. But at 3 o'clock, I would always go out for a social. I'd always go for a social with my buddies and solve the world's problems.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, I'd have a buzz on, and that became a habit. It became every day. So between 3 o'clock in the afternoon till say 6, 7, sometimes later, every single day going for a social drink, and I'd look at it: is it tension relieving or goal achieving? And the whole idea was this: is that here I am, successful, and I'm thinking I'm all that in a bag of chips, and I'm actually going out there at 3 o'clock and having beers. Sure, I'd meet my buddies, and it was a great tension reliever, and it was all that, and we're awesome guys, and our tabs would be this and that and whatever. But then it comes to a point that all of a sudden, wait a second, what could I truly do with my life and truly be focused? And then once I started talking with Leo, and he says, what's your diet? Where are you at? And I said, okay, well, we got to work out every day. Well, I had to pick a time. Okay, take away drinking, and replace it with something else. So what does that mean? Okay, am I going to be bored, or is it this, and was it going to be a hard transition? Well, a lot of people, when they get started in working out or doing something, it's that first transition. We're all motivated. We're all motivated to do it, but the problem is motivation goes away. And now we're determined, and then so on and so on. But the actual value proposition here was that, okay, here I am. I know that I have to basically pull out the drinking aspect, and how do I replace that? And then I made sure that every single day I had a workout at 3 o'clock every single day.
Oh, that's perfect.
And the workout had to go in my head as if it was a job. So I basically said, okay, here I am. I'm not going to do a workout on my time. I'm going to do it on company time. And what does that mean? Well, it means that I truly have to focus on me, because if I'm focused on me, that means I can focus on the company, which is the company time that I'm actually using, that my health, wealth, and mindset is set for the company, and I can be more productive, and I don't lose time after hours, okay, of whatever I want to do with it. And at that point, it truly it took its own legs. Right. And then I had to hire Leo because it committed to me as accountability. Yeah, absolutely. Because once I had accountability, meaning, okay, I got to pay this guy $100. Yeah, Leo, I think you're $300 an hour, just to say. No, I have no idea. Yeah. But the idea was $100 or whatever that was. It had to have a value proposition to it. So the value was, I got a guy at 3 o'clock, Leo, that's going to train me every single day. Yeah. And I'm paying him every day. Yeah. And it's expensive. So then all of a sudden, how much is your life worth? What does it mean? Would you rather, say when people have cancer, and God forbid for that, for people that have that, and not look after your health? What's the cost that you're paying? Well, I have to go through heartache an hour a day to do a workout with a trainer, and I'm paying them $100, just like a subscription, a medication, versus I get to make that choice, versus some people don't have the option for that choice, that they have to go for chemo, they have to have this, they have an ailment, and they're forced to go and do that.
Right.
So that mindset turned it around for myself and said, you know what? No, this is about me and doing a transition in my life to where I'm going to go. And sure enough, Leo was every day, and I'm paying him. And people would ask me, don't you know how to work out?
Yeah.
Like, don't you know?
Just Google it.
Yeah, Google it. You can see it over here. Or this guy, I know someone that's cheaper. And it was like, no, I need accountability. And then here we go. I'm in it for a year, 2. And as we're going in it, I'm getting stronger and better. I'm losing tons of weight, getting in shape, and all of a sudden your mind's starting to change. Now the alcohol's, well, it's completely gone. Now your food choices start to change. Your body starts to react differently with food. All of a sudden, do I need the carbohydrates? I mean, more breads, because how bread's processed today. Do I need that part? And then the body starts telling you, no, you don't need that. Or wait a sec, I need a little bit more sugar, or I need this. Listen to your body. If it says don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
People fight themselves through it when they're young kids that go through hockey, then all of a sudden they're 50 years old and they wonder, what's wrong with my hip?
Why can't I do what I was doing when I was 20?
Yeah. And the whole thing is when we grew up through this, and then here we are at 50 years old, and I look back and I go, man, I'm glad I never put my body through the torture. And I played hockey as a kid and competitive sports, but I never really, trust me, I was not in the professional level to play hockey or obviously anything like that, but more in the enjoyment side. And then now at 50, I'm 55 years old and getting into that mindset totally changed. Now, could I have done it earlier and said I should have lost weight earlier? No, I needed to go through the experiences of it to get me to that point, to have Leo train me, and truly actually make sure that I'm on track with food, nutrition, the value of it. What does that do to your body and change? And then, we were in COVID at the time, and COVID was finishing up, and then we had our first competition. Yeah. And Leo goes, okay, you ready for your first competition? I go, I'm nervous. I said, I'm going to compete. And so you got the Arnold's Classic, you've got all this. I don't even know most of the federations, but what was really interesting with the WMBF is that I never realized what bodybuilding really was until I actually got in. You don't know you're in jail until you break out. Yeah. So the greatest thing about it is working with the Federation WMBF is that, especially when you're an older gentleman like myself in the 50s, I never ever worked out before. Well, I worked out weight, but not lifting weight. Sure, I did hockey. I did a couple things here in overweight. I was what we call a weekend warrior. Have your beers and do whatever you want.
And then go hard other times.
And other times, And then what was really interesting, when we started to get rid of the weekend warrior, and I'm getting into shape, and all of a sudden we're getting ready for the first competition, and I'm going, okay, the WMBF is a federation with no gear. Now, gear meaning no steroids. You have to really watch yourself for 10 years to do a lie detector. And when you're older, and you see guys at like the Arnold Classic, and those guys are big guys, and they're like massive. You can't compete against that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all of a sudden, when you're in this federation at any level, who you are as an older gentleman like myself at 50, all of a sudden you can actually do this sport, have a great mindset, and compete in a national level. Going, you mean I can actually compete in this level on a fair playing field? And so I was introduced to it as, this is as fair as it can be. This is what it is. And then my first competition was in Kelowna. And just to let you know, I went into the Kelowna competition and I won it.
Wow.
First place.
Show. Yep.
First show,
yep.
First place, first one.
Wow.
Now, here's the kicker.
I know what you're going to say.
Exactly. I was the only competition for the old guys. So first place is still first place.
Yeah,
right?
First is first.
First is first.
Well, no one else even showed up. They saw you and they're just like, forget it.
Yeah, but you know what? It's interesting because when you say guys to say you don't want to they didn't show up, and you're right, they didn't show up because people have it in their mindset they can't do it, they don't want to do it. Then all of a sudden, when you do something that you wouldn't normally do, you move the needle.
Yeah, you put in the work, and so you're there. And you know what's interesting about your story is that you, like people get into bodybuilding and any sport, there's lots of reasons why, some people get into it because they, they're being egged on by someone. Someone says, oh, you can't do it. And then they're all motivated to do it. Other people are, it's a dream from childhood. And like for myself, I never wanted to compete. Like I had no interest in competing right up until I was literally 50 years old. And then I kind of got egged into it a little bit. But I was competitive though, because I would go to the gym and I don't know, this is maybe dumbing it down a bit, but I wanted to be the biggest guy, or, you kind of have that machismo, you want to be big, you want to be noticed. And so I was pretty big. And then there was competitors that I knew and they were like, you should compete, you do really well. And so then I did. And it was like, and then it was just fun after that. So.
Well, yeah, but you knocked it out of the park, though. When you look at your physique and then who you are, where you come from.
I think I had a bit of an advantage, to be honest, because I'd been in the weight room probably since I was 10. I was in track and very competitive in track all the way into university, and then I'd just been in the gym forever. So I don't even know realistically how much gains I've had over the last 20 years. I just got big and then I've been big since. I don't know if I've really gained much muscle over the last quite a long time, actually. Yeah. So.
And it's interesting because I looked at myself because I'd never done weights before, and the biggest thing is in the chest area. So when you look in the chest and then how to build it and your lats and then going there, because I didn't have the definition and the build, but what I did have was I was able to cut. And be able to take it from 240 down, and I was at a lightweight of 161.
Whoo!
So
what did you go on stage at?
161.
No way, hey?
Yeah, so wow. I ripped it down so I could cut lean and get it right down to 161. And I had it so lean, and we were talking about it. What does that look like, your body count, and what does brain fog look like? That's not healthy for you. When you go that low, you got to dip.
A lot of impacts.
A lot of impacts. But what a great mindset.
Yeah.
Because if you can control your diet, basically, and I'm not saying diet because it's a lifestyle, is your eating habits. Okay? Because we have cravings. We want to have something. We want this. We want that. But it's only a mind. It's in your head. It's that little guy on our shoulder saying this. And once you have that defining moment, that what we call, and as soon as you say, I'm going to have what we call a non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. If somebody ever says to themselves, I'm going to have a non-negotiable, if you say, I have a non-negotiable in front of a phrase that you're going to say, you'll never do that thing again.
That's interesting.
And it's a little life hack. And I always say to somebody, okay, so tell me what you don't want. And they'll say, I don't want to smoke. I'll use that just as an example. I don't want to smoke. Okay. Before you say, I don't want to smoke, I want you to say, what are my non-negotiables is I don't smoke. Yeah. The non-negotiable is the integrity that you give yourself inside that actually closes the door to everything, and all of a sudden it becomes that phrase, becomes that guy on the shoulders now. Yeah, it's not a yes, no, it's, who do I stand for integrity-wise? Who do I stand for as who I am to where I am right now? And what is my non-negotiables? Yeah. And
that's pretty great.
Having a non-negotiable changes the way who you are, and what you stand for. And people create legacies, say, oh, it's this, but what is a true non-negotiable? Somebody would ask you, what is a true non-negotiable for you?
I don't know. I probably have them. I'd have to think about that, actually.
See, I like putting you on the spot there. Yeah. Because it becomes, it's an integrity keeper. And it's a self-inflicted, everything inside of you, who you are. What do I stand for? What's my non-negotiables? Yeah. And who do I want to be known as? And
yeah. Well, what's interesting when you talk about too, because you start to experience some of this in the diet thing, and what's interesting, and maybe I preface by saying the term diet gets abused, and if I say, oh, that guy he's dieting, it almost has this negative connotation that we shouldn't be dieting somehow. But what I eat day to day is my diet. If I eat bread frequently or a hot dog, that's my diet, right? So what the difference is that people diet purposely, and they do what you did. They lose weight or they gain weight, and it's purposeful. And maybe it's for health. Maybe there's some sort of disease issue or some other thing that they have to eat differently for. But it is really interesting that the whole idea of dieting gets this negative connotation. I say that as a preface because part of what bodybuilding becomes is competitive dieting. And so if you're on stage and you're the heaviest person there because you're carrying a lot of body fat, well, then you didn't achieve possibly what your goal was. Or maybe you did and that was your goal. But it is interesting because it's some levels, which is totally hard for some people to understand, is the working out isn't the hard part necessarily of bodybuilding. You just have to be consistent and do it day in, day out. And you're going to, a lot of people, you know the cliche of, 80% of success is showing up. And that's part of bodybuilding. But you can't just say 80% of the diet part is just dieting. It doesn't work. You have to be meticulous about it and a level. And I know you have a passion about obsession, and we'll get into that. So it's and so maybe as a part of my story too is when I started competing, there we just got sound to my ears. When I started competing, I was pretty close to 230 before my first show, and I got down to, I think I was on stage 185. And so it was that was my cut. So it was probably kind of similar to what you were doing too. So, yeah.
And how was your nutrition?
Up to that point, it was terrible because I thought everyone has always said, look, you got to eat big to be big. And so I was just eating, I was trying to hit like 3,500 or 4,000 calories a day. And if I had to do it with a McDonald's hamburger or a milkshake, that's what I did. So. But
when did you do that? So give an example. So here you are, 50 years old, okay? I'll give you a little older than that. So you're 50 years old.
Yeah.
Your metabolism is not like as a 20-year-old, okay? Then all of a sudden they're saying, okay, you got to eat big to get big. And the biggest things that everybody says, research, and I say research because I think they're all full of shit, okay? And every person's individual, and it's all about a mindset, okay? Is that being health, wealth, and mindset, and the whole concept is of, okay, you got to have 5,500 calories. No, you don't. Make sure, because sometimes that's just going to make you bloated. As when we're older, yes, is it harder to build muscle? Is it harder to get better in shape? Yes, it is as we're older. But can we build muscle? Yes, we can. And the reason why I say that they're full of shit, because I've done it. Because I've put my mind to it, said, okay, they're saying this, but can I do this? And it's just like people having a mindset about, I'm injured or I have a disease, I'm going to give up. Your mind is so powerful that, you know what, you think about it, you become it, you are what you are. You are what you eat, you are everything that you do. And in
it's
that
like the manifesting concept,
And we get to show it by in bodybuilding, well, you can't build muscle. Okay, well, if I go day in and day out and I consistently have a pattern, and this is my mindset, I'm going to think of this all the way through, good, bad, or indifferent, but it's not bad, and it's not indifferent, but it's good. Guess what? We can change our body's manifestation and to be whatever we want it to be. And then people be getting healthy. People give up too early. And they say, oh, I can't. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I would have shit all over myself. And those are the guys, when I go into competition in the business world, I love them because they always give up. As soon as they make me, they're done. I'm already closed the deal, already got the sale done. I'm always that one guy that does the little extra. I'm going to give you a little analogy of this one. It's like two horses in a horse race, and the one horse wins by a nose. Now that the fact that the horse won by a nose, and he wins 10 times the earnings, is he 10 times better than the other horse, or is he only a nose difference? And that nose
That's an
difference,
interesting thought, actually.
That nose difference gives him 10 times the earnings. So example, and I go back to, is it tension relieving or goal achieving? Think of the two horses. Because he wins 10 times the earnings, and it's like a sales, as I knock this around, it's like a sales call. That one extra call at the end of the day, and this is where the 3 o'clock rule came in for me. So at 3 o'clock at the end of the day, is it tension relieving or goal achieving? I would do that one extra thing, which I got into the gym. That one extra thing got me more and gives me 10 times the earnings. It's like someone doing a sales call. When you don't want to do it at the end of the day, it's your worst thing. You want to go with your buddies and, could I have made this call over here? No. Make that one call.
Do it.
It will change your life incrementally, like that one little thing here, and here we are, 50, 55 years old. I'm in the bodybuilding industry, and I'm loving it. My mind's clean, everything, and I am dialed in. It's like focused, laser focused. No more shotgun approach. It's laser. Okay, this. And I get blamed for the do, learn, do. So you do something, then you learn it, then you do it. Versus, okay, you learn it, then you can do it, then you learn it. No, we're fast approach, fast in, fast out. Like that's what life's about.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, and as you're talking, and I think something that, like, if someone's never done bodybuilding, fine, don't do it. But one thing that's interesting about it is that, and I don't know if you had this experience, but I now think it's terrific to be able to see what your body can do and be able to feel like you're in control of it. And I think a lot of people, they make excuses of my body, and they externalize, like it's not my problem, it's my body's problem. It's, they're transferring their issues to literally their own body. But like, it's great to feel like you can make a change and you're deliberately doing what you want to do. I think it's empowering, and your brain learns from that, right? And we start to be able to change our lives that way, which is just awesome.
And it's the consistency, because all of a sudden when we're doing the bodybuilding and your mindset in it, your mindset, you're in it, you're doing the bodybuilding, it's consistent. We're over and over, and we're overachieving. We're doing it again. And this was one of the coolest things that I ever actually had to deal with, is that throughout my whole life, I have a arch in my back. It's like scoliosis. It's not. I have scoliosis, but it's not really. There's certain degrees of it.
Kyphotic, like kyphosis at the top, like kyphotic curve.
That comes around and does that. So I've always had an arched back, and it was like this, my shoulders in. And I talk to people, and they'd go, "You got to work on your chest, pull your chest out, do this, right?" And I'm going, yeah. So here I'm 50 years old. Okay, bad posture. Always had bad posture. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. There's no time like the present, 50 years old, that I can change it. So that's where the bodybuilding comes in. Okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, what does that look like? Okay, what is that? What is that? What is that? And every part. So now, is it perfect? No. Will it ever be perfect? No, because I'm my own judge, so it's never perfect. And that's looking in the mirror. And the biggest thing is I was able to make changes in my body. In other words, and I was telling you earlier about the gout. So I had gout, severe. Once I started to get into shape, eat healthier, then my gout was gone. And they say you can never get rid of gout or whatever, and I get my blood work checked, and 600 is you start at pills, there's levels of it. So there's 8, 6. So you'd have to take pills every day, and then, so all of a sudden I got rid of my pills. I didn't need them.
Is gout an autoimmune, or what is gout? Like, is it, it's caused, like, alcohol is like a factor?
It can be. So what it is, it's purina. So it's like, I'll use so what it is you can't break down the acidic acid. So example.
And it crystallizes.
It crystallizes.
In the joint space.
At the bottom, the furthest point from your heart. So think of it like this. I have 2 containers of Kool-Aid, sugar. Yeah. This one has hot water in it. This one has cold water. So if I have hot water in here and I stir it with a stir stick with sugar, it dissolves. You don't see the sugar, right? And you leave it, the sugar dissolves, and it's gone. Okay, now I have cold water, and I have sugar at the bottom of it, and I stir it, and I let it settle. You'll notice at the bottom of that, it crystallizes. Right. So we cannot boil our blood to get rid of acidic acid. So that is the buildup of acidic acid. That's why your buildup.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wow. When you're sleeping, it goes to your big toes. So it goes to your big toes because it's the furthest from your heart, and then it goes to your toe, and then it'll go to your joint, and it crystallizes. And they're like sharp little needles. So if you blow on it and do that, as you wake up in the morning and you're moving around, it'll move around in your blood. You can never get rid of it. It just lowers it.
That's interesting.
And and they have to take pills for it, purina, and we have an issue, so bodybuilders, and when you look at this, is that a lot of guys take creatine and they'll take whey, which is great. But guys that have gout and they're wondering why it's always flaring up, they watch it, they take their pill, they work out. Hey, I'm eating healthy, I'm watching my red meat, I'm keeping my red meat down. I'm not even having any red wine because red wine's bad. Red wine's bad, beer's bad. and anything that crawls on the floor of the ocean. Okay, so anything that crawls, like crabs, lobsters. Yeah. Okay, so fish, that type of fish that has a lot of purina in it, and what it does,
really? Wow.
it causes gout. And it brings it up. Again, when we talk about King's disease and the pain and red meat, lots of and purina, protein, too much. Now, a lot of people don't know this part of it, is that when you're in bodybuilding and you're finding that you're flaring up and you eat well, it's in your protein. It's actually in the whey. You actually have to look at it and look for purina, and you look at it. I can't take it because if I take it for too long, and I'm working out, I'm eating healthy, and then I'm taking some supplements, and then all of a sudden the supplements has purina, and next thing you know I'm flaring up and going. I'm going, why am I flaring out? And I had to figure that out the hard way. So I always go, guys would be at the gym. Yeah, and it's been one of, and I've gone through it and said, okay, what is this? And my pills. So then now I just stay away. Creatine doesn't do it, but the whey and then there's other ones that you got to really watch it. So if you can do it clean. So
that's fascinating. I never even. That's the first. Like literally, that's the first I've ever heard of that. I thought I knew everything.
Oh well, there you go.
And now I do.
You don't know. Yeah, things you know you didn't even know.
That's really neat.
And that was the thing about when you're out of shape.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't know you're out of shape until you're in shape.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm in shape. And I'm looking, I'm going, and what's really interesting, and anybody can do it, and they always go back, and when you're in the moment of time, as of today, we're all in today, we all live for today. We're creatures of habit, we are creatures of here we are. I show you a picture of me, here we are, you remember today. If you look at a picture of yourself 5 years ago, 4 years ago, you get to go and go, oh, I was fat, I was skinny, or I was doing that. But if you weren't, you don't see the correlation between the two, and you're identical until you're actually out of shape.
Right.
You'll never notice you were fat. It's like when you're a big person, you never see a fat person until you lose weight. Then you see someone that's bigger than you, then they're bigger than you, and you never ever thought you were out of shape. Yeah. So this is where this whole thing comes in, where the mind starts to play tricks on you, and it's not tricks. It's just the habit. It's like, well, I'm in great shape. Look at me. I work out every day. Yeah, but my BMI is 38. And now it's like BMI is a kind of a different reading, but you look at you're overweight, and you don't think you're overweight, and you got a double chin, and that's fine if you're happy with that. And some people are, and it's not a bad thing. But then all of a sudden they start losing weight, and go, I can't believe I was that fat. Because remember, your friends, your family aren't going to lie to you.
Well, and it creeps up on you. It's not like you did it over the weekend.
That's right. No one's going to tell you.
So it happens over years.
Yeah, and your family's not going to be mean to you. They're going to say, "Oh, you're a fat bastard." Oh, yeah. Oh, give me another. How much for the baby?
Yeah.
But this is where that comes into play, and people are saying, well, "Why didn't you tell me I was getting fat?" Oh, I never really noticed. We fell into it. Yeah. And this is where I really recognized it. Is here I am in my first bodybuilding competition. Yeah. 200 and some odd pounds going down, and I'm going down.
You lost a lot to get.
Because
you were 161.
161, yeah. Yeah. And so as I'm losing, I'm thinking I'm in great shape, blah blah blah, and then I was starting to start looking back, and I'm going, oh my gosh, wow, was I ever big? Oh wow, I'm doing great. And I was like, don't kid yourself. I'm patting myself on the back because it is a lot of work, and you know what? Take pride, and give yourself the accomplishments that you need, and yourself gratification for yourself, and say it.
And honestly, you got to see what was underneath the outer layers, which a lot of people never will. You know, they'll go, birth to death. They'll never see what their abs look like.
Yeah, and what it does to your actual heart and your organs, and what spots, and why you lose weight in them last. Like they're the last things to lose because it protects the fat, protects those, and then you get it down, and then it's like a whole cleansing, like a true cleansing. Mm-hmm. But what was really interesting, and this is where I go to Leo all the time, and I tell Leo this thing, and people, normal people, and then just say, you stand in the mirror. Women, I'm going to say women, but I guess we all do it. Yeah. So you look in the mirror, and you look at yourself, and you analyze yourself. So we take a brush, we comb our hair, we look great. Okay, here I pose in the mirror, and then whatever that is. But now all of a sudden, because I was down to that level, been there, done that, got a T-shirt for it. Mm-hmm. Now I came out of it, meaning put on weight. Now I'm going back into it. I didn't realize how much of a mind play it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because now I look and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm going, okay, I've got my diet on cue. Everything's lined up. There's no cheating. Everything's perfect.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden the mind starts playing tricks on you and going, oh, I'm not good enough. Okay, and it's not self-talk. Like it's not a here's this guy imposter syndrome. It's not that. It's just like, oh, I'm not good enough, and it's not that I'm not good enough to do it. I'm going, why am I thinking this, feeling this? And everybody feels it. That you don't know. Again, I go back to that. You don't know you're in jail until you break out. But it was interesting that all of a sudden now it's like, oh, yeah, I'm in great shape. I look at, oh, I could be better, and it's like, it never stops.
No.
It never stops, and it's just like that's.
I think we don't fully understand really the hormone component of it as well, because our hormones make us think things, which is kind of amazing that it does it. And really, you only have to think about it for a minute to recognize how frequently that happens. Like, hormones make us feel hungry. Hormones make us feel like I need to go to the bathroom. Like, those are hormonal reactions. They're not logical, intelligent things that we think through. So it's a tough ride for a lot of things like that.
And it is, especially when you're looking at the mirror and you look at yourself and you go, okay, I got to pose better. I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to do this. Oh man, I got a little flab here, and it's like, I can't believe that I'm self-shaming myself in the mirror right now. And if I'm doing that, I'm at this. Could you imagine how many other people, and they got talk about mental illness, and this is like, I got to really embrace the joy of being who I am at that particular time and look at it. But at least I'm here and I'm eating healthy, I'm on the right track. It's like, it's a process. This is a long process, and I'm here for the long haul, and here we go. And back into the bodybuilding thing again, and competition coming up in November. Now we're on the cut stage now. Yeah. And
you started cutting now?
Yeah, started cutting probably, so my maximum weight was 195 for 1201 maybe. Yeah. So we're in the cut right now, so it's a pound a week. Yeah. And we start our competition in September. So first competition's in Seattle.
Oh, you're doing Seattle?
Yeah, doing Seattle. And then Calgary, and then Boston, yeah.
Okay, I got to show you something cool.
Yes.
So you have to indulge me for a second. I'm going to show you something that's, I have this on my phone, and I talk to athletes, and sometimes we get into
OnlyFans.
That. So this is I won't show you, but this is a chart that has been developed, and it's just ridiculous amounts of kind of long-term research. Essentially, the idea behind this chart is at a certain height, if you're completely natural, how much do you weigh without fat at all, and then how much would you weigh with about 5% body fat? Oh. So how tall are you right now?
5'11".
So you're 5'11". So if you were completely stripped of all body fat and you were the most developed natural bodybuilder that exists, you would weigh 166 pounds. So that would be the most you could weigh without any body fat. And it basically says at 5'11", maximum ripped is 177 pounds. So if you were Larry Scott, that level,
right,
and 5'11", you would be 177 on stage, and you would be the kind of the pinnacle bodybuilder today.
Oh, interesting.
So 177. So it's an interesting chart to kind of think that way.
Yeah.
So it means you have, like if you're 161, I would say you probably have a 10-pound window where you could grow into.
Yeah.
You still have 10 pounds to grow.
Yeah, we figure we'll be about this stage weight. We should be about about 5 more pounds heavier.
Yeah.
On this competition, due to the fact it's like shoulder or chest and stuff like, and I'm every day.
Yeah. So do you are you going to King's Gym down south?
Yeah. So so I go there on Mondays. So Leo, we meet on Mondays. We do a check-in on Monday. And the check-in's at 3:00, and we take one of the workouts. We do that workout, and then we just communicate, okay, where are we at, how we feel, what's the body. Yeah. And then the meals. So I have a meal prep plan as well, that all my meals are 2 weeks in advance. They're all made. My meals are very structured. Like my mornings are very structured. Everything's structured. I do everything very structured, right down to what I wear. So everything's very structured. So I meet with Leo then on Tuesdays. So That's on Mondays. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. So each part is, and then I hit Good Life on 130th. And 3 o'clock again. Yeah, 130, because I'm about an hour north of Lethbridge.
Okay.
Yeah, Mackenzie Town.
Oh,
yeah.
You can see Lethbridge. You go there for fun.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just right off of that area. But great gym. And then from there, and then that's one of those things when you get in there, and it's usually about an hour and a half, 2-hour workout. So because of my cardio, when we start getting into the workout and being consistent, a lot of people will try to build their own workouts, which is great, but that takes a lot of time. Now, if you have an app, if you have something that's great, be consistent. Having the trainer on an online trainer, so now Leo has an app that he gives me, and I follow that to a T, and then I just move from one to the next and then my workouts are 7 days a week, but I kind of have a cheat in there.
Yeah.
So technically, you're supposed to have 2 rest days, so it's 5 days a week. But what happens is I'll split up one of the workouts, and just because of it's just too hard. It gets too long, and then maximizing your lift and maximizing it's just a burnout. And then at the end, I have to do. We don't want to do this, but because my weight is a little too high right now. Where I'm at, and we want to make sure that I'm crisp. I do a cardio base of 150 calories per workout, which is about 10 to 15 minutes there, and keeping the heart rate, because at 55, so you got 220 minus your age bracket, so, and then do your 80%. So we're not there to bump the heart hard. We're there to say, let's do it at a fat burn. So on your Apple Watches, just keep it in the green. And then at that point, we just keep that consistent. And then from there, jump in the sauna. And then
cool.
And then I head to then my food becomes structured.
Yeah. That's cool. So we were talking about obsession and like how's that playing into your life? Like, and I guess obviously there's value in being obsessed when you're in the fitness world, because that gets you where you need to get to. But it also helps in other parts of life too, obviously, and it helps in business and it helps,
Yeah, so one of the greatest things that as an entrepreneur, so I've been an entrepreneur all my whole life. So I own a company called Spindle, Stairs, and Railings. We're over 30 years old. I started from zero to hero. I had never, ever in my life, ever installed a railing in my life, okay? Never, ever installed it. Never, ever manufactured a railing in my life. But we have one of the largest manufacturing of spindle stairs and railings in North America.
Wow.
So we supply all over, supply and install. We create other aspects. So the biggest thing about it as an entrepreneur growing up, as looking at it, is actually finding great people.
Okay, pause for a second.
Yep.
How did you get, like, you're in high school, chasing girls, driving cars, and then one day you're like, man, these are nice stairs, and those spindles are spectacular. That's what I want to do for a living? Oh. Come on. How did you get there?
Oh, okay. Now, let's get even, this even gets crazier. Okay. Finding out, and we talk about obsessed mindset and who we are as individuals as growing. So, being ADD, dyslexic, and all that, and where I talked to you before, I've never read a book, but I wrote a book, okay? Never listened to podcasts. But it's all about determination. It's about mind, and actually following the status quo, writing our own story. What I call it is writing your own narrative to life. Being who you are and being genuine to who you are is exactly what you need to be for the rest of your life. You can change the world, okay? Humanity and whatever it is. So, to answer your question. So back in the day, I used to be in what do we call, I was in the radio industry.
Okay.
So I used to go to, and this is going to date myself, obviously, 55. I used to be in a program called CTSR, Cinema, Television, Stage, and Video at SAIT. Now, meanwhile, when I was in that program, I wanted to learn how to basically be a radio DJ. But remember, I couldn't read very well. Okay? I couldn't, what do they say? I couldn't read very good. Who's the little, those are little ants in there. Yeah. So but I was in the radio industry, going to get into this program that basically has, about 150 people apply for it, and they only accept 16 back in the day. Remember, the internet wasn't around then. And the whole idea was, how do I get in there? And basically what I did is I hired somebody way back in the day to write my resume. Okay? I got in there and said, if I
can... To type your resume.
Or to type my resume. Oh, no, to type my resume, but also to do it. Because all of a sudden, put my resume together and then get me into the program. If I can get an interview, if I could stand eye to eye with you, I could change the world because I'll motivate. I'm that guy. I'm there. Like at the passion, I'll show you whatever the storytelling is. I was able to get in there. I got into the program. And then I'm in the radio program. And it worked out. Here I am, and I could do just about anything. Now, was I top of my class? Not even close. But back in the day, and they still talk about it today at SAIT, it's kind of funny, is I'm ready to graduate. And they would have this brochure that they would give out to all the radio stations in Canada, like past graduates, that would actually say, "Oh, here we're going to hire this guy, and here's your resume." It's in a brochure type. Remember, internet's not there. Yeah. So I knew because I was the lowest out of the 16, I'm the lowest on the totem pole there, and I'm going, well, how do I get out there and get this job? Like, they're not going to push me. If someone calls them, they're going to give it to this guy. So I had to figure it out. I turned around, I hired, the business administration department, and I said, and when I mean by hire them, I didn't have money to hire them. I said, could you guys use me as a class project? I know you have secretarial arts, and what you guys are doing is you're writing resumes, you're doing assistant writing. Would you be able to use me as a class project? So what if you could, and I'll supply stamps. I love this idea. The stamps, the letterhead, and all the contact names of every radio station in North America. There was like 700 of them.
Wow.
So, and they had a book in the library of who they are. By the time they did the program...
We're so old, it's hilarious.
It is, and I'm just going... I think it's a funny story. People go, they actually did that? Yeah. And so I actually had it, that they mailed out, we mailed out 400 or 500 applications all over North America. Wow. I had jobs everywhere. I had Nanaimo, I had Toronto, I had everywhere. And I had jobs well before my staff did. Sorry, not my staff, but before the other students.
Colleagues,
the college. Yeah. And they were so upset that I did that. They said, okay, the students can't do that anymore. They said no to it. But by the time I was done, I got hired with a group called CFUN, or the Chum Group, Much Music, Q91, Q13, that was part of the chain. And I used to work for a radio station called Q13 in Brooks. I was on air for about... a copywriter for about a week, and I said, this is not for me. There's no money in this. I said, get me into the sales aspect. And sure enough, they got me into the sales right away. And by the time I was done, within that first 6 months, I was actually hiring all the students to work for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, through Drumheller, Q91.
That's awesome.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
So
we're not to stairs yet.
No. So that motivation was getting me there. Now, where the stair part comes into play is my parents actually had a stair business called Spindle Factory in Edmonton. Very successful. They did very well. Now, they lived up in Edmonton, and I was in Brooks, and I'm on air or doing this. So they're holding the carrot out, the golden carrot. Hey, come work for me, and then you'll own the company one day, and blah, blah, blah. Typical.
Normal.
Normal. Yeah. And so and as I'm in with the business, we didn't see eye to eye, and I was getting married at the time. Well, not at the time, years later. But we didn't see eye to eye. And so then I opened up one in Calgary. And so I've never installed a railing. I knew what they looked like. Yeah. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm motivated. I'm determined. They had a business. And so I started it right from scratch. My first sale was in a Home Depot parking lot. And it bought my business license. Wow. I still never knew how to install. I never knew how to install a rail. I knew what railing looked like. I knew how to get it. And then I went to a place called A.B. Cushing Mills way back in the day. I don't even know if they're around anymore.
I think they are.
They are? So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I went over there, and then they supplied me product. So now I had to get labor together. So then I would look for somebody to install. And I have no idea how to do it. No clue. Yeah. But I knew how to get in front. So I had my first sale was a Home Depot parking lot, bought my business license. Within what we call a 6-week window, and I'm selling in my truck. So I've got my briefcase, well, not even a briefcase, a little file folder, a cell phone. And the thing is, I said to myself, and I said, you know what? This is going to be one of the largest companies that's ever been out there. I know exactly how to do this, where it is, from zero to hero. And one of the greatest things that I said from that day forward, and I'm going to have the phone number, 403-294-0555. That was the first phone number I ever had. Yeah. And so I registered it, meaning through TELUS or whatever. Sure. Then I had a cell phone, and I call forwarded it. So meaning that, yes, I don't have a place of location. I don't have anything yet, but knowing I was going to be big. Now the internet's starting to come up. Okay, internet's starting to come out. So who do I want to be now? Got to think big. You got to behag it, right? Big, audacious goals. So when you're starting a business as an entrepreneur, don't think about, well, once I get to here, I'll get to here. No, I'm already here.
Yeah.
Visualize being here, because from here to here is easy. First million's easy. Okay, or sorry, first million's hard. The seconds, thirds is a little bit, they become easier. And I'll tell you why that is, why it becomes easier and harder as an entrepreneur starting off. It actually gets easier as you're getting more. And the greatest value, so when starting that off as a young guy and basically getting into, I'm losing my track where I was here. As the entrepreneur starting off and having my first sale and then going there, and in the Home Depot parking lot, I'm just trying to recollect
Then you're
myself.
in your truck with the file folder.
Correct. So truck with my file folder, and I had to go find people to install.
Yeah.
As we're installing, I bring people in, bring the material out, and I would sell 60 to 70% of my jobs on the phone. And because I was so passionate, is that if I didn't sell this, my family couldn't eat.
Right.
Like,
sure.
What a motivation! All of a sudden, what's the and I had no way of escaping it. Meaning saying, okay, well, if this doesn't work, I'll go get this job. No.
That's that classic burn the boats.
Yeah, burn the boats. We're not going to burn. We're going to blow them up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I blew up every bridge. There was no way. This is. I'm going to succeed. That was what we call a non-negotiable.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was my non-negotiable? I'm not going to fail. There's not even the word failure is not even in the equation of not failing. I didn't even use the word. So I used to have basically going in there and I'd sell somebody on a stair and railing package, whatever that was, and then I'd find someone to install it. That was one. People would always say, Kevin, you should know how to install the product. I said, no, that's the last thing I want to do is install the product. And they go, well, why would you say that? You got to know your product inside. I said, no. Be great at what you're great at. Don't be good at what you're great at. Like, this is one of those things that you have to define who you are and hire great people.
Right.
If you're a good accountant, or is there a great accountant, hire the great accountant. Then you don't have to worry about it. And I use the analogy of this. I can run a hospital, but it doesn't mean that I can do brain surgery. So who do you hire?
Absolutely.
So to get the best brain surgeons in there, you have the best hospital. In the railing industry, what I did is I made sure that I hired the best people. Was it hard? Of course it was hard. Did we have to go through this? I had people that, oh my God, they would pawn off their tools. I'd have to make sure this. And
that's awesome.
It was just nightmares.
Yeah.
But it was one of those growing things that you really got to know who you were, what you are, and that there was no non-negotiables.
Yeah.
You're going to get through any of this. And we got through our first sale, get to the next, and then all of a sudden getting a building, renting.
Yeah.
And then I'd get sales, I'd get another one. And then as I'm getting sales, and we're growing, now I can afford a building, a bigger truck. And remember, this is all happening within 6 months. Like this is how fast I'm growing.
That's awesome.
Okay? We were Canada's fastest growing company.
Why was there like a vacuum of like suppliers for stairs and spindles, or like what was?
That's the thing. There was nobody. Everybody. You had your old boys club.
Yeah.
And they're still around today. Some of them are still around, and they do a good job. But their mindset is still set on the way that things are done way back when.
Yeah.
And if we look in construction industry versus the clothing industry versus the food industry, the construction industry is a real mom and pop operations. It really is. When you look at the manufacturing levels of it, look at AI, look at technologies that's being used, manufacturing, and I'll use stairs and railings as an example. I'll use my industry. Go back 100 years ago. The difference between making a piece of wood out of rail, whatever that is, like wood, and going through a machine is the exact same process as it is today. The only difference between the two, one's a little faster. But is your manpower faster, right? Or is the machine faster? So we have all the machinery in the world. And it's just somebody feeding it in, taking it out. So where does the technology go bigger from there? So now there is a way, because we do 3D printing, so we're into really high-end stuff. What we do stairs that are $1 million. So we get into really funky stuff, and we sell all over, so which is great. Where our competitors can't do that, and that's all right, because they have their niche, what we call track building, and they do a great job. If you want one and you want it 1,000 times the same way, that's what they do.
Makes sense.
So we do what we call customizing standardization. So taking custom and standardizing it. So back in the day when I'm doing this, this is where the thing is. And remember, I told you I never read a book or never listened to a podcast and doing that, because you have to go with what your intuition is. You have to go with what's in your heart and with that aha moment and really truly listen to it. And that's where the non-negotiables come into play. So when you truly listen to yourself and you're in tune with yourself and truly listen to yourself, you can change the world. And back then, and recognizing where I was at with the mindset was that if I knew that I could do this and hire the right people and I could create a company, I could do anything. So what happened was I created a school. So I started a school. So Spindle Stairs and Railings School. I went to SAIT. I asked them, I said, hey, can I start a program here to train trades, meaning carpenters and anyone to do railing thing. But the problem with the railing side of it was a lot of people, what they did was, it was back in the day, was that their father would show their son. And they wouldn't share that with anybody else. Meanwhile, we're recognizing that and I'm going, well, what's going to be my bottleneck? Okay, where's my pain points going to be? And then recognizing what the pain point was. Sure, I can get sales, we can do this, and understanding systems, processes, and stuff, and we do it. When we started looking at that and go, what is the truly problem? It's going to be a labor shortage. Now, here we are today, and they talk about labor shortage. We're in a cycle right now that it goes peaks, valleys, peaks, valleys. Let's go back 100 years. We're in the same thing.
Totally.
So the past dictates the future. So I have the crystal ball because we're older, we get to see this. So I got to see it back then. We had a labor shortage. What was the biggest problem with the labor shortage was, okay, why did that happen? Well, we couldn't get training there. So I created a school, got a school, wrote a book, The Art of Spindle, Stairs, and Railings, helps out installers, how to install. Remember, I've never installed them before in my life, but I wrote a book on it. Okay?
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly, because I got to control the narrative.
Right.
So when that got to be controlled and you're positive, I started the school up, got everybody going. We got people coming in. And did they leave? Yes, they went to the competition. Did they go over here? Did they start their own business? Yes, they did. That was the greatest success I had, was them working for my competition or starting their own.
Right.
Because if they did, that meant I did an absolute amazing job.
It worked.
I took them to the next level. And I knew that I put back into humanity. They got to do this. Yes, I created competition, but no, that's not what it was about. It was actually growing an individual, growing as us as a human being inside. So here we are, got this started. Everybody's growing and growing. Meanwhile, as I'm doing this, we become Canada's fastest growing company. We start doing things that had never been done before, ways of manufacturing stuff, and then we start growing and growing. Got into the finishing end of it, and we started to do really, like, we were doing so well. I think we were up to about 200-300 employees at one time.
Wow.
So, and we're doing the finishing in houses, but there becomes a time that it's enough. So, like, we got to a level and then we're doing good, and it's like one of these, we would call it sales fills our ego, profit fills our family. Yeah. So when does it come to the time that enough is enough sales? Okay, we need to feed our families and be profitable. And it's kind of like, as you get older, is how much money is enough? And at that point, the market was changing, and it was like, yeah, okay, we're doing really well, margins are tightening, yeah. Meanwhile, we're doing finishing, we're doing a whole whack of different stuff. And it basically came down to it, we actually had to pull out finishing, because we're losing margin. It took me probably took me about 2 to 3 years to get out of that industry, meaning the finishing side of it, because if you grow fast, okay, and then all of a sudden business stops, it's the 80-20 rule. Okay, so 80% of your business is done by 20% of your customers. Yeah. So all of a sudden you have one customer, and then you're going to pull them out, and you really notice that 80-20, and it's in any business. You really have to watch that number. And if you can control the number, and if you can monitor it, you can change it, and you can adapt to it. So if you're not, and meanwhile, we adapted. Okay, we got it. Took us a while to get out. We had to restructure, knowing then the economy crashed. And we were prepared for that and understanding, going, okay, we bit a bullet here. It took us 2.5 years. Then the market, because we started seeing signs, things were happening. Right. Okay, and then with the labor thing, and we recognize on the labor shortage stuff, this is the meantime when the Philippine market was starting to come in. When I mean Filipinos were starting to move into the market, meaning immigration was high. Bring the Filipino, great community. They were, the people, my staff are awesome. And when you start bringing a Philippine community in, and the families and stuff work their ass off, they're awesome. So you got to see that, and we were able to combine the labor shortage. So we're teaching, we're getting it. Okay, now fast forward to today, We have the Ukrainian market, okay, meaning what had happened there, opened up immigration, same idea. And we're great. Now we're in the training. We're in that same cycle again.
Right. Yeah.
So we get to see it. So we get to actually watch how this is all progression in the construction industry. Now back then, okay, they had the issues of urban sprawl versus higher density versus urban. So they used to go out. Then they said, oh no, we're going to bring it in.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They have changed the way the building process is done. I'm going to talk about Alberta, is right now, because they're opening up that door, that now it's urban sprawl is wide open. Okay, you can put up anything. Well, we need 15,000 houses need to be big. We don't have enough housing. We have a housing crisis. Well, I'm in an industry right now. And remember, they had that same problem 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We had the same
That's
problem.
Right. Yep.
Okay? And it was like, oh, how are we going to do this? Oh, and then, well, we're worried about infrastructure because we can't build roads and schools. And where's that money come from? Now it's like, okay, here it is. We're able to do it. So the past dictates the future. Here we are. Now we get to see it. Now what's even beautiful, COVID hits. Okay? Great. COVID has a bad thing. COVID has a great thing. Now, this is where mindset comes into play. How did you look at COVID when it came? Did you look at it, poor me, oh, this is where it is? Or was it one of the things you look at COVID and go, everybody's at an even playing field right now, right across the board.
Can you reinvent now?
Correct, so, Is it a pivot? What was the key word back in the day was pivot. Oh, key pivot. Oh, man, I wish I had stocks in Zoom and da-da-da-da-da. So everybody was at the same point of that stage. So meanwhile, here I am in the railing industry, market's slowing down, and I have labor, okay? So if you can control the labor, you can control the market, okay? Why? Because startups are a lot quicker. Yeah. Because someone just a one-man, this is where I was talking earlier about the one-man operation. It's harder to make your first million than it is your second, third, and fourth. Well, this is where the key comes in. Get through the first part, okay? Your first labor point, getting your 1, 2, 3, 6 people. Okay, it's like a fire truck. Okay, there's 6 people, easy to communicate. Everybody's communicating. That's 6 part. Anything below 6 is a little bit. It's there. You've created a job. The 6th person, your manager, and then all of a sudden there's if you hit $1 million here. But the idea, as a whole, is that when you're starting off as an entrepreneur, you want to be able to grow, and you're only making your first $1 million. When COVID struck, I was able to have the labor component. And I created a company called Plexi Canada. And we're sitting in the shed, and this gentleman, Chad McCormick, comes up, and we're sitting there, and he's in the bar and restaurant industry, and we're sitting there. And he goes, well, the bomb just went off. Now all we're doing now is waiting for the fallout. Because he's in the bar and restaurant. Now that got killed. That got killed. Like all of a sudden, they're from zero to hero. Like, it's like, holy shit. And we're looking at it, and I'm looking at it, I said, so how do you feel? He says, no, I'm fine. I said, okay, great. And he has a strong mindset. Like, he's very, very strong that way. And then sitting there with Chad, and we said, all right, well, let's ask ourselves a better question. What are we not seeing out there? So if we see it in the paper, it's already too late. So what are we not seeing that we're not seeing? So let's ask ourselves better questions. And the whole idea of the better questions was we're sitting there and saying, okay, the fallout just happened. What's going to happen? Well, we know we can't do this. We can't do this. Okay. Well, bars and restaurants are going to, well, people still need to eat. Yeah. Businesses are going to close. Okay. They're going to give government grants or whatever I don't even know what they call it.
CERB.
The CERB. So,
whatever that is.
Yeah. So they give that out.
Yeah.
So what a great opportunity. We said, okay, what are we not seeing? And it sounds so stupid, the Plexi. We turned around and we opened the plexiglass company up within 24 hours. Did bars, restaurants, HS,
everywhere, banks, everywhere.
Everywhere. And we were able to manufacture all the components. So you take a table, we could clip all the tables. We did this, set it up, registered Plexi Canada, made sure our website, our URL, we made sure everything, just like a startup business, because it didn't matter. Business is business. So we had to start it up. But because I had the labor, I was able to turn around, and our first sale was, I don't know, 1,800 Plexi stuff, and it was massive.
Crazy.
And we had semis going out. Now, getting Plexi was easy because we were the main players. Now, we're not a main player, but overnight we became the main player.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're going to say, I want one side order, 1/4 inch. I know how it's all manufactured because I have a manufacturing facility. I know how to weld. I know how to powder coat. I knew every part of it. I knew the engineering. I had all the best team in my facility that it didn't matter the commodity or the widget. We had CAD drawings, we had engineers. So when we're looking at that, we could create anything. So as we're doing that, we're going, okay, well, what else is there? In the bar and restaurant industry. Then all of a sudden, Brett Wilson and then Chad McCormick and then a couple other guys, and they'd ask me, would you come in? And Brett had this great idea with Brick and Barrel and with the rooftop YYC. And their vision is like awesome. I said, if there's anything I can help with and do it, I'm more than willing. I'll be the ghost, I'll manufacture, whatever that is. So my expertise was on the back end of seeing difficulty that to make a commodity or a widget. What does that look like? How to resource? Like it's taking a podcast studio, making this and dumbing it down to make 3D printings of things that you never thought you could do.
Right.
So, and that's where we got into that part. But on the whole Plexi side, we started, we sold it everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it came down to COVID's over. Stop. Boom. Whatever happened to Plexi Canada? Did you ever die? And I said, no. I said, the greatest thing about it was before Plexi, and it's the things you know that you don't know, before Plexi, nobody ever even knew what Plexi was. They heard the name, oh, it's this. But, okay, what are ice boards made of? Okay, you know, like hockey arenas?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the Plexi around it, right? The whiteboard, that's actually
that's
Plexi.
right.
Or acrylic, that's acrylic.
Acrylic. Yeah.
So from that part, we started using no glue sticks to it. Okay, what does it do? Well, Plexi, they think, oh, it's got to be run a certain way, it has to do this. Oh my gosh. We started building air conditioning units, meaning people in their windows. So you live in an apartment, okay, and I have an air conditioning unit, and then they need to vent from 0 to out, right? Well, guess what? You want to see through it. We need to have a coal in it, like a window. So they just buy Plexi and they put those in. Boom, done. Another market. Didn't even know that was there. Frosting Plexi. Can you frost Plexi? Yeah, you just sand it.
Yeah,
just sand it. Can you bend Plexi? Yeah, just heat it. And a lot of people didn't know that. Oh, and we ended up, we'd actually do this is that people would come in to Plexi Canada and they would say, hey, I have this, but I said, listen, let me tell you what you do. Come on in. I'm going to give you the Plexi for free. Okay, these are all the leftover cuts, everything that I had. Here, I'm going to show you how to cut it, what to do. I'm going to charge you $500 to do this. You could do it for free. I said, I'm going to give you something because I made my money on Plexi and I had all this stuff left over. And I said, if I can recycle it, redo it, I said, here, use it for yourself because profit is not a dirty word. Okay, and the thing is understanding that, you know what, it's time, we did it, we made money on it, okay, now here's all this left over, let's just give back, and then have that given back, and do it. That in itself, paid tenfold.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Plexi's gone.
Yeah.
We're still run the company that way, but then I open up other little companies that people would have. So 3D printing, we do 3D modeling for designers, architects, like on other product lines, like just really funky stuff.
Yeah.
And then we started a podcast up.
Yeah.
And what was the podcasts about? And we had to ask ourselves a better question, okay? Why do you do a podcast? How are you doing a podcast? Like, what's the purpose? Okay, what is your, and I love that Simon Sinek, the whys. I hate that. And I remember I never read a book. And it's never about the why. It's about just do. And I can get an argument both ways on it. But the greatest thing, the greatest success that anybody can have is actually do, learn, do. Okay, and I said this earlier. Yeah. And we asked ourselves about a podcast. When in time in history, and prime example yourself, in history that you have the greatest power, at any given time, right now, that anywhere in the world can listen to you today live, on air, wherever you are, and you can influence and change people's lives forever. Because they're listening to you as an influencer, as a call to action, as a professional, the expert in who you are, and that power that you hold dear to you, good or bad, okay, hopefully it's obviously in the good way, and sharing ideas where people get to listen in on our conversation, share on the conversation, and take a nugget or a tidbit up without being part of the conversation, whereas at home with Zoom, a lot of people did is they watched, what do they call those, people playing video games?
Oh, yeah, that one.
They watch video games.
Start to the NES.
Yeah. They watch video games. They do this, so they're not participants. They're watching it, so they get to see it. Just like where we are as in a podcast, we have a lot of immaculate power, and it has to be treated with respect, because we can communicate around the world. It's never happened that way ever before. So with this, then letting our voices be heard about how we can change and be the best practice out there, and doing a podcast. And that's where it came in. We're sitting there saying, we got entrepreneurs sitting in our podcast, and we talked about COVID. Okay, what's happening? Okay, where are we at? What's the worst thing that can happen? Where are we at? We got our health, we got our fitness, whatever that storytelling.
Yep.
Okay, that narrative we're telling ourselves. Now, what are we not seeing? If we see it in the paper, it's already too late. Now, how do we write our own narrative? And we had entrepreneurs. We would meet in our shed at 7 o'clock every night. And we still do it all the time.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about ideas, what do you see? What do you see? And all about motivation. And no alcohol, obviously. No alcohols food, like you'd have snacks or something. But very clear, crystal head. This is a business. We're there to say, how do we grow? What does government look like? What does this look like? And ask ourselves better questions. Like last week we went to Meg Energies. We flew up to Meg Energies just to see their operation. And what is actual dirty oil? What is actual the oil sands? What is? It's so off topic. I mean, it's not even close. Like I look at Meg Energy, and we went for this tour, and you go through this whole thing, and I'm going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Nobody knows this narrative, how clean it is, what you do, and how you put back and everything here, but yet it's on the other side. I can't walk down my street in Calgary, and Meg Energy is cleaner than my street.
Yeah.
Okay, and then people and stuff, and how people do not understand and know that. We have the right, as here we are podcasters, here we are talking, to be able to share that story with them and have them on and tell their story so people understand it, so that we get the proper media, the proper, not fake news, the whatever storytelling that people are hacking on them and doing that. And we went out there for myself to see it and to be able to say that narrative and go, no, I'm proud to be Canadian, proud to be who I am, proud to be an Albertan, proud to be Calgarian, and proud everybody that's here and promoting and being a part of this great growth opportunity we have in opportunity. Like businesses that I own here, and go, okay, what's the next level? How do we grow? And we're meeting people and then asking entrepreneurs about how do we level up? What does leveling up mean to you?
It's important in Alberta.
Oh,
we need to do it.
And we're not like Toronto. We're not Vancouver. We're our own little entity, which is great.
Yeah.
We're not very old. We're 100 and some odd years old in Alberta, but we are so connected. Like every one of us, the 6 degrees of separation, and everybody knows everybody, and integrity, and what we're all about for growth, wealth, and mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's an exciting place. Alberta's a great place to be in. So for opportunity.
I've had how many businesses so far? I have a whack of them.
Yeah.
All through Alberta. Everything's Alberta, and starting up other people's businesses. And what does that look in? And listening to people. What do you see? How do you see where is opportunity lie and how to do it? Because I've started businesses up that I would actually, if they come up with an idea, like I've had like tradespeople that work for me, and I'd say, I don't mind you work for the competition. Great. How can I help you help yourself be great? Like, what does it really mean to be great? Okay, not good, but great. And then let me help you. And I don't want a part of it. You just do it, and then you understand my integrity of growth, because it'll come back to me tenfold. It may not be today, maybe some other time, but me putting back. And then here I am, 55 years old, looking at the health, wealth, and mindset, writing a book, The Obsessed Mindset, and about truly what does it take to truly be obsessed, and to be truly writing your own narrative of where you are, who you are, and where you're going to go. And it's never by chance. It's always by, we write our own narrative. It's like that movie Groundhog Day, right?
Great movie.
Now think of this, and I don't think anybody ever thought about this. The movie Groundhog Day, the guy goes into Groundhog Day, what's his name? I was going to say Eddie Murphy, but it's not Eddie Murphy.
Bill
Murray. So think of this Groundhog Day. Here's Bill Murray. He's doing Groundhog Day. Okay, he goes into it. He goes his first day and does the same thing the second day, and then he had to go play piano. So think about this. He did that whole day over and over for how many days? 365. It was more than 365. How long? Okay, and you just did the stats on the working out. How long would it take somebody, average or maybe a little bit above average, to be a pianist as great as he was? How many years?
I don't know.
Practice every day. Ballpark, say 15, 20 years?
Yeah.
Okay, to be that great.
Okay. Yep.
So he did Groundhog Day every day for, let's say, 15 years. But that meant that every single day was different. But what he got to do, he got to control the narrative. The narrative was that he was going to practice playing the piano. So every day, he knew this instructor was there. He knew he had to do that every day, so he did that. Now, does it mean every day was the same? No, because he got better at it. Now, did he know what was going over here? Just like when you drive into work, you're driving the same way, and you'll notice if you ever take your time and you drive into work, say at 7 o'clock in the morning, really take a conscious look at 7 o'clock in the morning or whenever you're driving to work at any given time, you think the world's a big place, is actually take a look over your left shoulder. Okay, take a point where you stop at the light, and every day, write it down. Take a look over your left shoulder and tell me what the car is beside you. Okay? Out of the next 20 days, take a look at that same car. You'll have that same car will pass you in 20 days.
Yeah, if you're consistent with your,
Yeah, consistent.
Yeah.
They're all doing the same thing. There's your Groundhog Day. So you just haven't recognized what's been beside you every day. So, and it's just asking
So what
yourself,
you're saying is this is Groundhog Day.
we're in the matrix.
At a certain extent.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
we're in the matrix. And that's the beauty of it, because we control our own narrative.
Yeah.
So here I am, the temperatures change, the days change, okay? But my going to work is always the same. Yes, there's things that happen, and this goes here, a situation or something, but you get to control that narrative. How often do people actually change the way they drive into work? They don't like to be discomfort. So, and making change is about being uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, that means you're making change.
You know what's interesting about change? Like, this is an interesting tie-in to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Is people don't like change, but weirdly it's like we accommodate our kind of mental fatigue somehow by making what we do somewhat easier and finding cheats along the way that really make it less meaningful in some ways. And so in the gym, so, we end up back in the gym combo, but you see someone who, maybe 5 years ago started out doing his bicep curls and was really did it intentionally, followed the Google video, and then 5 years later, totally doing it wrong. This is so weird. And so, you get in the car and you drive to work every day. I guess, can you make it better or worse? Or maybe you've just stopped experiencing what's around you and you just kind of collapse into patterns that kind of affect you negatively in some ways. So.
Well, think of it this way. You don't know you're in jail until you break out.
Yeah.
Okay? So here I am, doing my body, okay, I'm there. Then all of a sudden I become lazy. Not the fact that I say in my head that I'm lazy, the fact that I have not become socially aware.
Right.
Okay? Like nobody ever wants to be bad. You look at people and they say, oh, that guy's a bad person. I don't like that person. It's a vibe, right? Nobody ever wants to be. Nobody ever doesn't want to succeed. But sometimes the things you know that you don't know you're doing until somebody points it out. And I said, I had no idea.
That's why we need good friends. Because your good friends will point it out.
You hope they, you know what? You hope they do. You hope they do, and you really, and that's where it's lonely at the top. As an entrepreneur, we get to the top, and we talk about friends. They're far and in between. Yeah. And it really becomes that you hope they do, but sometimes it's like,
It's tough to find that like mindset, really. And then at some level, and you probably see this as well, is, a lot of people that have achieved well, they're so busy that they just don't have time to correct others in some ways. So they have plenty of time to help people, but the correcting is it's an interesting thing that gets kind of overlooked.
Yeah, and what's in it for themselves? Like, are they self-sabotaging themselves? Meaning, are they looking at the better of themselves, or are they looking at the better of humanity? Yeah. And humanity can be anything that you want it to be, but what are you putting back? Because what are you putting back out? What you take, what are you giving back out there for people? And some people you don't want to give them the time of day. Yeah. Okay, because they're soul suckers. Okay, they suck.
Super self-involved.
Oh, they suck the soul, and you just get in there. They drain your energy. But then you meet somebody that like you're at zero with each other. You're communicating. You're like, wow, I can't believe now. All of a sudden, we can change things and we can grow, and then that negativity is gone, and then it opens up and it blossoms into something that we don't know.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The power of suggestion. I don't know the secret, and they talk about that part is that. I truly believe in that. Like, it's like you can manifest what you want. You write your own narrative. You become what you believe in truly. Because, and don't tell anybody. Say it to yourself. Like, to make change, please tell everybody. Write it on your board, put your goals up, and let everybody know you're doing it, because that's your integrity keeper.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Exciting times. Well, you know what? We've probably run out of time. So you probably have to get back to the rest of your life.
Well, we're only 20 minutes into this, right?
Everyone stopped listening an hour ago.
Yeah, no doubt. No, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that.
So yeah, well, hopefully, I think we could probably get together again, and
Definitely.
we could layer into a single topic and drive lots of time. And
we totally can. And I'm going to get you on my podcast, Shed Talk, with Kevin Halliday. And
then I'll do all the talking.
Could you imagine? Oh my God! And I'm not even going to say a word.
You'll just sit back and
just go like that. That is awesome.
That's great, God. And we'll have to hit the gym sometime.
Oh, I'm totally in.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank
you.
you.
It was awesome. Great to have you, and we'll have you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.